Hello and thank you for joining us. Markets plummeted Monday as investors express fear of an economic slowdown. All three major indexes were in the red. The Dow lost nearly 900 points, falling roughly 2%. The Nasdaq experienced its worst day since 2022, falling 4.7%. And the S&P was down 2.7%, its worst day of the year. In an interview that aired Sunday, President Trump was asked point blank if he's expecting a recession this year, and he did not rule it out.
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
Also fueling uncertainty in the markets is the response to the president's tariffs. China on Monday imposed retaliatory tariffs on a wide range of American farm products. The move puts a 10% levy on U.S.-made pork, beef, soybeans, dairy products, seafood, fruits, and vegetables. There's also a 15% tariff on imports of American chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton. We have team coverage on the story. Senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang is at the North Lawn, and Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady is here in the studio with me. Kelly, we'll start with you. What's happening on Wall Street?
Uncertainty. Okay, investors are looking at what is happening with our trade policy, when tariffs are going into effect, what countries, what products, and the fact that it's changing so quickly. And it's really hard to make investment decisions because while the market is not the economy by any means, okay, it is an indication of how investors think businesses and consumers will react. And if you have a consumer looking at what's happening here, what's happening with inflation, you might see some of them pull back in spending. And so, yes, market is not economy, but how a consumer acts is.
So what would you say to someone who is concerned about the broader economy as a result of what we've been seeing?
I would say the data does not say we are in a recession. Okay, that's really important. We have a strong, relatively strong labor market, an unemployment rate at 4.1%. We are seeing some inflation indicators, at least last month, tick down a little bit. We'll get another reading this Wednesday and Thursday, and that'll give a fuller picture. That being said, I think what happens over the next couple of months, this consumer sentiment data that we've gotten, the consumer spending drop that we have seen, does that continue or does that reverse and pick back up? That's when I would start to worry. But right now, we are not in a recession.
What is your read on the impact of China's retaliatory tariffs?
So, look, this was expected. We have seen the tit for tat under the first Trump administration as well as the Biden administration. I think what it means for consumers, these retaliatory tariffs, it's not going to impact them directly, but we could see President Trump increase the tariffs then right back on China. And so I think for a consumer, this means that we are escalating into a bigger and bigger trade war, and that will ultimately mean higher prices.
Okay, so that's the consumer. What about the farmer side? I know you spoke to a farmer in Illinois who grows corn, soybeans, and wheat, and his business was affected by the 2018 policies. Let's listen to some of what he told you.
What impact did you see on your farm personally?
Corn market dropped, 50, 60 cents over that period of time. The soybean market dropped even more than that. So the president did come through and help us with some supplement as far as during that period of time. But it's still, farmers want markets.
Trade, not aid, right?
Exactly.
So this was in February when the fear of these tariffs was in place. So what do they say now that the day is here?
Well, the fear became a reality that these retaliatory tariffs were slapped back on. Now, what he told me is, look, we're willing to endure a little bit of pain in order to get better trade deals. And in fact, under the first Trump administration, China did make promises to buy more corn and soybean than they ever had before. He was really excited even after all of that pain, but they didn't make good on following through all of those promises. So I think right now they're looking at a situation, he gave me estimates, where the entire industry could see 5 to 8 billion in terms of annual losses if these retaliatory tariffs are in place for a while. And I asked him, I said, look, are you going to be able to recoup some of that? And he said, well, no. If we aren't able to sell into China, Brazil, Argentina, these places are going to come in and they're going to swoop in and take that business.
Maybe willing to forego some short-term pain, but how much is probably the key question now. Kelly O'Grady, thank you so much for your hard work today. Let's turn now to CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang following all of this. So, Weijia, what does the administration make of what's happening on Wall Street?
Lindsay, we just got a brand new statement from the White House that says since President Trump was elected, industry leaders have responded to President Trump's America First economic agenda of tariffs, deregulation, and the unleashing of American energy with trillions of investment commitments. And this mirrors, Lindsay, what we heard from the White House earlier today, which is that they are not going to react to what they call quote, short-term animal spirits of the market, because they say they are focused on the bigger picture as it relates to CEO confidence and the manufacturing sector and small businesses. And so that is their focus. They say, look, there's going to be a period of disruption. And aides have also mentioned that they are inheriting what they call 4 years of a mess created by the previous administration. So it's going to take time to change that and to implement the president's economic policies. The problem here, Lindsay, is that when the president was running, he didn't talk about the disruption and the adjustment period that Americans would have to endure before his, economic plan kicked into place. He was talking about lowering prices on day one. And so far, the message is not meeting the reality, which is why, many people that we speak with, including that farmer or just the average American consumer, are wondering when this relief is going to come.
Before we let you go, President Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is revoking security clearances for some top officials in former President Biden's administration. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of the Office of National Intelligence, actually made this announcement via X, and she posted that it was at President Trump's direction that she has revoked the security clearances of several former Biden administration officials, along with some that you might put into the category that Trump would call political rivals. That includes former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, the former National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, along with 51 officials who signed a letter that described the Hunter Biden laptop incident as disinformation. We also know that the president's daily brief is no longer being provided to President Biden. So this is a significant development in the arena of national intelligence, Lindsay, because critics wonder why these particular people were now revoked of their clearances.
Okay, Weijia, Jiang, thank you.